Hey everyone, this is Eric with the Zwift Insider with a highlight reel from the Zwift Racing League Week 2 race that I just did on the Beach Island Loop. 3 laps. I was racing with the Dirt Hellhounds team this week. This is the start. You know, it wasn't a terrible start, a terribly tough start, but that's because this is a upper division B squad, and I think these racers, at least most of them, knew that the important move was going to come on the dirty sorpresa, as I've decided to call it, the twisty dirt climb up to the Italian villas. So this first about a minute and 40 seconds, it's not easy. It's about 350 watts that I have to average to stay here in the front group, and you'll see that there's a few riders getting dumped off the back, but not very many. Most of the riders are able to hang in just fine, and we keep it up pretty strong. Like most races on this route, the effort's pretty high until you turn towards the volcano. And you'll see that happen here. We keep on holding the high effort, then we make this right-hand turn onto a sort of elongated hairpin, and it's on that hairpin that efforts kind of ease up. Everybody catches their breath, and we steel ourselves for the effort ahead. Our team's plan was to try to hang in there on the dirt, attack if we had a good power up. If we had the steamroller, we were going to attack hard, try to go off the front, and get those first across the line points in the sprint. Unfortunately, you can see I didn't get a steamroller, so I was just going to be sitting in when that dirt rolled around. Here's something I noticed on this first lap. As a guy who's a little heavier than the average strong B racer, I very easily rolled to the front of the group on this little descent. You'll see my wattage isn't real high, and yet I roll all the way to the front. So this was a lesson learned that I could ease up even more. It's all about conserving, saving everything you can so you have the watts when you need them. And here we are, our first time up the dirty sorpresa. I started near the front because I know that that's the best place to start when you're going to struggle on a climb. Not having the steamroller, I knew it was going to be really hard to stay in touch with the front group. You can see I'm already making a pain face, and we haven't even really hit the climb yet. This spot right here is where you would want to activate your steamroller if you had it. That's about a 30-second gap from here up to the end of the dirt. So you'll see the steamrollers start popping up, and I'm just hammering, trying to stay in touch with this front group. And I'm doing pretty well, but I start to drift back. You'll see my numbers drift back more and more, and the front of the race is getting away from me. This is the first spot in the race where I thought I might be getting dropped. If there's a break up ahead and I'm not able to close the gap, that means I've missed the front group. So I keep on hammering. You can see I have an aero power up. I hold that until just as the sprint starts, trigger it and try to hammer and try to stay in touch with this group, praying that it all comes back together and that there's not a group of 10 or 15 maybe really strong riders off the front who we aren't able to bridge up to. You can see I'm already pretty gassed. This is the extent of my sprint. Just over 400 watts, just not a whole lot left in the tank after that dirt climb. Now the whole race has been shot to pieces, and I have a choice to make. There's a gap right here. Do I try to cover that gap, or do I let someone else do it and just pray that they do? I decide I'm going to use my drafting power up and try to hang in and let someone else bridge the gap because it looks like it's coming together. Front of the race is just there up the road. But you can see it's no easy job, even with that power up. I'm still struggling. Luckily, the draft power up lasts 30 seconds. I'm able to just sneak into that back group, and a handful of riders behind me also get in there. But that's the big break right there. We have about 40 riders in this front group. Started with 102, just barely made the break. One little section that took a lot of people by surprise is the dirt here around the fishing village. Each of these dirt sections were little attack spots where you had to ratchet up your wattage if you wanted to stay with the group. And even here on the wood rolls slower than standard tarmac as well. Not as slow as dirt, but slower than tarmac. So your wattage picked up through this whole section. You can see it's no easy job. It's 300 watts plus just to sit in with the group. Some people even burn their steamroller power-ups here in the dirt. Not something I would advise, given how important it was to be near the front on the sprint, but folks did it anyway. This is the place where we pray to the power-up gods. Please give me a steamroller. I was watching closely, hoping it happened, and lo and behold, it did. That's me smiling. That's as close as I can get to a smile in the middle of a Zwift race. One thing I like to do from time to time is send a message in the middle of a race. Sort of a mental trick I play on the competitors to hopefully show them that I'm not suffering as much as they are. This one's a little homage to David Toll. And soon enough, we're on the dirty Sorpresa again, but this time I've got a steamroller. So I'm a little more comfortable sitting a little bit further back, and I'm waiting to trigger the steamroller until the start of this first hairpin. You can see some people are already triggering theirs. I'd rather save mine for the steeper sections. Here we go, steamroller time. By my calculations, I'd say the steamroller probably saves you around 200 watts in this climb. Huge advantage. You can see the steamrollers are drifting to the front here. A lot of steamrollers off the front. And now as we get to the top, I'm in a good spot. I'm in the top 10. Sure, I'm gassed. I'm pretty close to my max heart rate. But I know that I'm not going to get dropped. So I ease up a little bit. And I don't have the legs to push hard and get in the top 10, but I figure that the 13 in front of me aren't going to break away from the 20 or 30 that are behind. So I don't hammer too much to try to catch them. It's a bit of a gamble, but at this point, it's also about the only thing I can do. I'm sure glad that banner gives power reps because I used them right afterwards every lap. You can see this time I have the arrow. I'm going to use it here just to conserve because I am suffering. Help me sit in with this pack. Now you can see it's all coming back together. I can sit in and try to conserve as much as possible. Once again, it's time to pray to the power-up gods here on the last arch before the final Dirty Sorpresa. A steamroller, please. I've been a good boy. Yes, a steamroller.
Woohoo, I got a steamroller.
Thank you. Thank you. Here we are on the final time up the Dirty Sorpresa. I've got the steamroller, so I'm sitting pretty, and I've got the same plan as I had the previous lap. I'm just going to use the steamroller to conserve as much as possible, try to move up to the front of the group, near the front of the group on this climb, so I can be sure to stay in touch with the front all the way to the finish line. And look at all those steamrollers popping up on this turn. Riders have definitely learned how the timing works, where to activate it best, and you can see the steamrollers are just flying off the front of this group. If you look at some of the watts per kilo on the riders behind us who don't have steamrollers, you can see they're putting out maybe 2 watts per kilo more just to stay in touch. Steamroller is a huge advantage. So I just try to stay in touch with this group here, knowing there's a group just behind that's going to catch us as well. But I'm only thinking about the finish at this point. I know I don't have the legs to contest this sprint. I can see a lot of dirt riders here in this front group. We're really well positioned. Now the group starts to ride away from me a little bit, so I try to hammer those watts a little more, stay in touch with them, because there's a gap forming behind me. I don't want to get caught in the chase group. This is a dangerous place to be right here. Got some strong riders just up the road. Do I burn my arrow to catch them? Nope. I keep my eye on them. And I see that we're coming back together. I'm going to save my arrow to the finish. This will work out quite nicely.
3, 2, 1.
Now here you'll see something interesting. a rider flies through this front pack. Gomez from the F Cancer team flies through the pack. You can see his cadence is super slow, and he is just riding away from the pack. Nobody chases him because they figure he won't stay away. More on him in a little bit. This was the last lap, and we had just gone through the sprint banner. Some riders got the steamroller at that sprint banner, and they knew the steamroller only helps them on dirt and wood. It doesn't help them on the tarmac. So we had a lot of steamrollers popped here on this dirt section, and it became an attack. It actually became a split. So I tried to follow these riders as much as I could, including my own team riders that were using it. And a split begins to form behind us. Our group of 30 splits into a group of about 20. Gets really strung out. I'm just trying to hold my position here near this front group. There's a couple of riders that go off the front really hard. I decide not to chase them, figuring the two of them can't stay away. Instead, I sit in, conserve a little bit, and hope that the group comes back together while leaving the chase group behind. Which is exactly what happened. I decide to click forward, look at Gomez, who's still off the front. Constant 431 watts. Interesting. Very interesting. And here's the finish. Final 1,500 meters. This is the ramp out of the ocean where attacks always come. But those attacks usually don't work. They're happening too early. So I'm just sitting in the wheels, even as the pack gets strung out, just trying to conserve as much as I can, but stay in the front group for that final sprint. I've got the aero power up, which I know will help me a little bit, but I am also tired. My legs are dead, and I'm just hoping to be able to finish as high up in this group as I possibly can. So I try to slot myself in there, sitting in those wheels, letting the group pull us back to those two riders off the front. And I'm sitting in, trying to catch my breath. But of course, that's not going to happen. In the final minute of the race, you have to just keep on hammering, just trying to hold on. Now it comes down to timing. Just 500 meters left. Got some people using their steamroller power-ups who obviously have no idea how those work. And I'm just tail gunning off the back because I'm struggling and the group is riding away from me. So I activate my aero power-up, hoping this is somewhat close to a good timing with 15 seconds left in the power-up. And then I just hammer. You can see my pain face. This is all I've got. A weak sprint on dead legs. Trying to pull back any places I can get. And there's the finish. 16th place. Popped down to 17th place. Guess that's better than 18th place. Thanks for watching, everybody.